Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we can talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Now, this is a game that everybody knows that came out and was not great on launch. PC wasn't as bad, this is the PC version, but it had its issues, and it got ragged on for it. So I waited until it was in a better state to play it, and you know, I can't remember if they're doing much more to the game, but this is the state that I'm playing it in, and I want to do a video on it, talking about my thoughts on the game, like honest thoughts on the game, and you know, the good, the bad, the bugs, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, be advised, there could well be spoilers in this, but you know, it's been long enough. But let's talk about the bugs first. Let's get that out the way now. I have had visual bugs in this game. More so, the more I play the game, the more visual bugs I've had. And on top of that, I've also had some gameplay bugs. I will say the visual bugs, like look at the lighting up there. Whoop. Let's see if it's actually... I've had issues with the sky, so that was fine now. But I've had issues where it will do that kind of, as you can see, that glow while I'm walking back under. I've had that will happen in the middle of just a random area. Like I could pause the menu, I'll go into the inventory menu and like click on some things, and then I'll back out, and then that light box thing happens for no reason. It's very strange. Obviously there's quite a lot of pop-in this game, you know, to be expected, I guess. But visual wise, I've had a lot of people clipping, I've had a lot of people coming in and out of cutscenes when they're disappearing in and out. But in terms of gameplay, I've only really had two gameplay bugs that have actually affected what I'm doing, which was one where I couldn't attack, it wouldn't let me attack properly, which was weird. I couldn't change weapon, couldn't do anything. And then I also had one where I basically got stuck on somebody's body, so I couldn't move, I could only look up and down. Luckily nothing that completely ruined my experience, but very frustrating, we'll say. So that's the majority of the bugs that I have got to. So let's go over the good stuff about this game, because there is good to this game, right? I had my skepticisms about it, and I was a bit worried that, you know, it's not going to be that great, but there are some good things. First off, the stories and the characters. There are a ton of people in this game that you meet. Here is a list of people I can phone that you deal with, and the actual main characters that you deal with in this game, and some of the side quests are actually like either really funny, really interesting. You can have some really good dialogue choices with them. Obviously, you've got Johnny Silverhand in your own head. Now, it takes a while to sort of get into those conversations with him, because the first couple ones are kind of just like, he's just an asshole, and it's not that fun, I don't think, to interact with him that much. But as the game's gone on and you kind of have you have better conversations with him, it's less of a, you know, it's pretty cool. And I will say the characters and some of the options that you can do, pretty cool. In terms of dialogue, you do get quite a lot of choice. And in this game, you can pick a background, and each of your backgrounds you get specific dialogue for those conversations, which is cool. So, and the story is quite compelling enough for me to want to keep going along and play it. So that's really cool. So probably one of the best things really is that the story is of a high quality. CD Projekt Red, I'll give them the credit. They know how to make interesting side quests, and they know how to make a good story, and I'm enjoying that, right? And the characters I've met along the way, I'm enjoying that for the most part, most of them. There is a ton of content in this game. This is the map, which I will be referring back to later on. This is the map. As you can see, there's a ton of question marks. All these ones here, these are all side quests and gigs. Essentially, you got side jobs, which are more like story-driven quests, and then you have ones like this, like an SOS, rescue the person located here. And they are dotted all over the place. You also have like the NCPD ones. These are different types of assaults you have to deal with. Sometimes it's not just an assault. Sometimes it could be something like... I'm not going to find one now, am I? Well, there's other types, basically. When you can... Oh, there we go. There's you know, you got to find a particular person. There's another type as well, I think steel. Well, that might be steel there, but essentially there are a ton of tiny little missions for both the police and the and side jobs and stuff you do around. The side jobs are, like I said, like story-driven quests usually. So it'll be somebody in the story wants you to do something for them, and then the gigs are like a fixer, which is like you're kind of the person who gives you the way of getting money because you're a merc. And you go and do those, and they are basically like these ones here. Like somebody needs a merc there, or somebody needs. Oh my god, there's one client wants you to steal something. There's a variety of things, and as you can see, the map is pretty big. We've got these areas that are the names of the city, but the game didn't tell me until I started looking around that you can go further beyond that. Like you can go all the way down here. There's this entire area here that I didn't even realize was part of the game until I went there. So I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this map is huge. And then there's stuff up here as well, but I've not even explored up here. I don't even know what this is. So, not a clue. But you can see there's a lot of stuff to do in this game. So, you know, awesome. A lot of choice of things to do, and it's kind of split up into different zones. You will notice as well when I hover over certain things, they'll say danger moderate, or the ones down here probably say very high. That's kind of level dependent. As you can see, my level's 24 and 43. Let's talk about inventory weapons. This is V at the moment. I'm not one for fashion. I just go for whatever gives me the highest armor, essentially. But there are a ton of things you get tons of different clothes. We've got new ones here that give me quite the significant increase, so we'll stick those on. There we go, lovely. But, you know, being an RPG, you would expect there to be a lot of RPG elements, like, you know, different types of clothing, guns, all that sort of stuff. If we go to my backpack and we look at the weapons I'm currently carrying, there are a lot of weapons in this game. They come in different colours. You got rare, common, all that different stuff. They all have different stats. If we look at this DS1 pulsar, you can see damage per second, damage, attacks per second. It's a power thing, so it can ricochet off bullets. So you get different types of weapons. You know, like smart guns. You've got the ricochet ones. I actually don't know all the different types. I'm going to assume most of these are powers. Tech can be charged and released with a powerful shot. Have we got any smart? We've got tech, bullets. I think actually that's a lie. I have got a smart gun. We've got old Skippy here, who's a smart pistol, so that hones in on targets, self-guided projectiles. Skippy is a side quest, and actually one of the silliest side quests, but also really fun. There's a lot of weapons. And then you have your melee weapons, and I run around with a sword primarily, but there are other types of knives. There's blunt weapons, you can use your fists. You know, you've got all the kind of stuff you'd expect, and there's a ton of functions to these guns. I don't have all the legendaries or anything, like, you know, but there's different types of revolvers, there's different types of, that is a cool looking shotgun, I didn't even know I had that. Different types of shotguns, rifles, you know, so there's a lot there for a variety. You have components that you can use. You have quick act components you can craft in this game and create parts and add them to guns. For example, if I go to my machine gun here, I can put different attachments on it. I can put a muzzle on it, and I can mod it to have extra stuff. I think you can get them for I could be wrong, but it does seem like the sword has... Oh no mods for this type of weapon. You also have your cyberware things. This is something that's really cool. This is one of the cooler features of the game, is that you can basically install parts into your body. So I have enhances your vision that you get very early on. I assume there's more powerful ones later on. Increases stamina regen, instantly restores 10% stamina when you defeat an enemy. That's an adrenaline booster. We've got things like increases armor. You can stick things in your legs and your hands. I have gorilla arms here, but I could also... Ooh, I have other gorilla arms. But you can also, other different types of damage, stick in blades. So you can have blades in your arms instead, or you can have a gun thing incorporated. So there's a lot of variety in terms of what you can add here, and you know, I'm not optimizing this at all, so there's probably stuff that I can stick in these. Oh, I don't have any bits to stick in. Interesting. So I'm clearly not... I need to go to a ripper dock basically. And then legs, I believe you can have a double jump or a higher normal jump, which I don't know how I feel about this, because it's the one upgrade that's kind of would be nice to get much earlier on in the game, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, you've got your cyber hat enhancement. If I go to character, now you have your levels, and you can see that I am level 24, which is your overall level. I have maxed out body, and each one of these things is what your standard kind of like strength, dexterity, you know, your standard stats. Intelligence, cool, and technical. I've primarily gone into body and reflexes. This is because body is health, stamina, things like that, and it lets you level up athletics, annihilation, and street brawler, which we'll come back to in a sec. And reflexes, which is assault handguns and blades, but reflexes also increases your passive evasion, increases crit chance, and increases damage from the Mantis Blades, but I don't have those. These are actually really interesting things because they add different things. Like cool is got the stealth side of it, and you have like increasing your crits and things like that. Intelligence and technical ability I have not even touched, but that's like hacking, and I think technical is crafting and engineering. I don't actually know what engineering does, so let's have a look. Oh, looting stuff. Okay, interesting. So let's look at the ones that I've gone into. I've primarily gone into blades. They have like a passive level up as well, and you gain stuff through this. They go up to level 20, is it? Yeah. So this just kind of like goes up the more you use that kind of thing. So if you do a lot of attacks with blades, as you can see, I've got quite a few upgrades here. The more attacks with blades, the better, basically, and this will automatically level up, which is pretty cool. You also have your handguns, which I've got extra points from using handguns, but I've not put anything into this. And then assault, I think, is increases effectiveness of all rifle types and submachine guns. So this actually affects sniper rifles as well, which is good to know. Oh, there you go, sniper and precision rifles. Answers my own question. Blades is the one I'm primarily going for. So my fighting style, by the way, is primarily a sword and punching user. So athletics and street brawler go quite nicely hand in hand. There's a lot of skills in here that I've got because it's about melee damage and armor and reducing attacks and health and things like that. And then street brawler is primarily blunt weapons, which is it says at the bottom, close combat using blunt weapons or fists. So if you go down this road, you can basically upgrade your fists. So just so you guys have some kind of idea as to what combat is like, or like how I like to play combat. This down here is an assault in progress. So the sword is what I normally go with. So let's show that off. Up we go. I can take that damage. I can take the full damage. So you can stealth it. Now the cool thing about this game is it does give you multiple options to things. You can play a stealth style. You can do primarily hacking. I mean, the hacking with your eyes is always useful to use. Ping is probably one of the best abilities in the game that I've not got many of them, but being able to see that many people on screen and know where the target is very useful. So you can stealth in there, and I like playing quite stealthy for the most part. But for the demonstration of this, we're going to use this bad boy. Now I could use the fists because they're also pretty fun, but it does let me lead on to one problem I do have with the game. But let's do this first. Now holding a sword actually gives me more armor, so there is a block button. But you can see I'm, leveled up enough. Took his head off. And there's also a strong attack, which just to give you a nice animation. Please move, because you're next to some explosives. And as you can tell, pretty much shredded those fools. Give me the money. Done. So that's like a miniature job round. Go on, buddy. You can leave now. And those are like they're great ways of just getting extra street credit and extra experience and money and things like that. Now, we talked about the good things about the game. Let's talk about a few of the bad things. Now, this game almost gets so many things right, and melee combat is one of the things that I really like, but it is very limited. As you can see, right, I can attack with the sword, but I can only do a combo attack, which is 3 clicks, which is fine, and then I can do a charged attack like that. You don't have the ability to dodge, which I'm straight up saying now, useless. I have never used this. This is... I don't know when this would ever be useful. Like, I think the idea is if you're fighting somebody who's melee, you can block and dodge out the way, and then counter. But the thing is, this here, when you block properly, if you time your block, it'll go into slight slow-mo, and you can then counter attack for free. So this is never... This is... the dodging is a little bit pointless. You can see it takes stamina as well, but you're never going to need that. Honestly, you're just better off learning how to block. You can have your block broken, but if you time it again, you'll just get a free counter attack. So doing this is also better than going for a strong attack. It is fun walking up to people and just doing that, but unfortunately, even with my fists, right? I can get my fists out. Got a triple shot. 1, 2. Oh no, it's just 1, 2. And then I can charge it up. Which, to be fair, does send people flying. So yeah, so we have, you know, the melee combat and stuff, but it is very limited in what you can do, and that is the unfortunate thing about the combat in this game. Yes, you have guns. So like, yes, I have gunplay. We go and find some more enemies to kill, which, oh look, perfect. We can, you know, we can show more of this off. I also have this ginormous sniper rifle, which I have yet to use, so let's do something fun and use that. Where are we going for this? Over there. And look, I will say this, right? The game, while we're walking on the way or running on the way over, the game, the city, not gonna lie, looks a little bit bland in the daytime. It does have character, and there are various different areas, but to be honest with you, it's a lot of steel and bland colours. I think that's kind of the point, but it gets very boring to look at very quickly. However, the city on the other hand at night time, with all the lights and stuff, look really cool. The game itself isn't a bad looking game, right? It really isn't. But the issue that I have is primarily the fact that, look, this isn't that interesting to look at, you know. You're not focusing on it too much. Are these police officers? No, they're not. Let's show off some gunplay. In fact, let's use the sniper rifle. Ooh boy!
Here we go!
First time I've used that. You see, I'm getting shot and taking quite a lot of damage as well because of the area I'm in. So let's try not to die. You can heal, but because it's an RPG, there are some elements that personally I have my own issues with, but it's not the end of the world. See ya. I do that a lot. I will definitely walk after people and kill them. But yeah, let's show off some gunplay with this thing. In fact, I want a better machine gun because I don't actually like this machine gun that much. Let's just try a different rifle. We got what's this thing? Let's try the Crusher shotgun. I've not used a shotgun, so this will be fun. But the gunplay itself isn't bad. The only downside is obviously, again, it is a this game is an RPG, which makes it weirdly odd with your guns sometimes. Like, sometimes I feel I should just be like one-shotting people and not like essentially hitting them so many times. Like, that guy's dead. It's a nice car you got there. Oh, hello.
We don't play nice with traitor scum.
But you know, it's good. Like, I'm not going to say the gunplay is awful, because it isn't. Like, it's for the most part, it's good. Oh, explosives. Okay, that's something we do have to talk about. Hey. Got some street. Can I have this car? Oh, I can.
Drive someone should look right over the edge. And it's possible it doesn't really exist anyway.
Ah, it's stuck on something. So yeah, it's a nice bug. I don't know why it's stuck on something. Get out of the car. But driving. Oh, it's stuck on a body. Driving is pretty terrible as well. Damn you, I wanted a car. Come here. This is something I don't understand, and I don't know if this is going to look particularly... This is going to show off very well in this video.
If I knew what caused cyberpsychosis, believe me, I'd tell you.
The camera's broken, so I can't switch to car camera either. For some reason, it's just not working. But let me get some speed up, and you'll see, right? I'm only tapping left and right when I do this. This isn't the worst car I've driven, but the oversteer on these cars is, as you can see, pretty nuts. Don't know why the camera button isn't working. That's kind of weird. But that's a bug with the game. This is what I mean. There's so many little bugs that I keep running into that aren't game breaking, but they are gameplay related. I was hitting the button, wouldn't let me change it. So I have issues like that. On top of that, yeah, like guns and stuff. Like, they're all fine. Combat's fine, but it's just... It feels like I wish CD Projekt had made a bit more of an effort with the melee combat, personally. I think maybe some directional attacks, so like when I have the sword. Like if I hold left and attack, and hold right and attack, he swings different ways. Maybe like double tapping forward and things is like a stab, rather than doing that. There's just little things like that that unfortunately bring it down a little bit, but you know, it is what it is, right? It's not the end of the world, but this is my issue with the game. This is a game of very much almost. The melee combat looks flashy and it's awesome, but it's not quite there. You get like parts where you go and fight people with your fists in these like arena fights, but it's so easily broken by the fact you just block and then time it. We've talked about sort of the driving, we've talked about the combat. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the size of this world map. It is very big, and like I said, with a combination of the world being a little bit bland. Again, it's not I get that the game is the city is designed that way on purpose, but my god, does it get boring to look at unless it's nighttime, which is, you know, probably when you should be spending most of your time running around. But it's so much in this world. Right, all of this area, if I zoom all the way out, right, this is the entire map. The map didn't need to be this big, right? You could easily lop off maybe some of this bottom and top part, right? There's just so many areas, and if you're one of these people that only buys like one game and you put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, cool. That's like, you know, this is the game for you. But the problem is it also corresponds with the fact that these tasks neutralize the peps and secure evidence, and then save a person or steal something. Unless they're side activity, if it's side jobs on the main quest, they're really interesting and fun. The problem is a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, is really boring. It's just there for XP and leveling up, and in this first area alone, it gets to a point where you just don't want to do them anymore. Like, you know, if you're one of these people that likes to 100% everything, yeah, sure, go ahead. But, you know, these are considered dangerous, moderate. There's probably a few low ones around here as well. And it just, you start to feel fatigue quite quickly because they are very repetitive, which is completely opposite to the side jobs, which genuinely are really interesting or funny, or they do things. And I know that every game like this has that kind of, you know, you have those sort of repetitive activities just there to like level up on something to do or like clear out an area. But you really feel it with the size of this map. You're just like, crike. And like, there was more stuff here. I cleared out a lot of this stuff, but you can already see. Even when I just bring up the... Let's just bring up... We've got fast travel, open world. So these are the open world, like, things. You zoom all the way out. These are apparently open world as well. But you can see... These are just, like, reported crimes. So any of those are reported crimes. Don't know why that includes tarot cards, but hey, yeah, it does. And then... yeah, primarily the police stuff, right? There's rides. There's the cars you can buy. There's jobs, which are most of these. And then you have... where's the... oh. Does this include main quests? Maybe it includes main quests as well. Oh, it does. But yeah, it's crazy. There is a lot to do, but it's also a little bit on the side of, man, the smaller activities get boring very fast. Don't get me wrong, if you enjoy the combat and the thing, you'll go around and do them and really like them. Overall, my thoughts on the game is that I am enjoying it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not, because I am enjoying it. Oh, one last thing we need to talk about, and this isn't the fault necessarily of this game. This is something that I really can't stand. Let's go to the sword one, right? When you're going to put skill trees in a game, and I will accept that this game has a lot of skill trees, right? There are interesting abilities and there are less interesting abilities. Like this one, Death Bolt. While wielding a blade, defeating an enemy restores 20% health and increases movement speed by 30 seconds for 5 seconds. So it's like a proc buff. So to me, that's interesting. That means that you can run in, you kill somebody, you suddenly get loads of speed, you get a bit of health back, and that's something that triggers. And that happens for 5 seconds, and that triggers however many times. Cool. What I don't appreciate is stuff like... where's a good example? Oh, I know. We look at body. This skill here says passive increases max health by 30%. It's 3 levels of it. So first, it's 10% each time. The problem I have with stuff like this is when you have a skill tree and you're told, hey, you can have 10% more health, 10% more armor, 10% more stamina, all that. It's not interesting from a player's point of view, right? Health slowly regenerates during combat. Okay, that's actually quite a useful buff. Fine with that. This one here increases your melee by 10%, then 20%. Health regenerates 25% faster as you move. Okay, that one's fine. This one, for example, the rock. Enemies cannot knock you down. I've experienced this, not a huge amount, but that's like a genuinely interesting buff. That means big enemies that you fight, you can stand there and just wail on them and deal with them. This one, passive, increases armor by 10%. Like, there's the incentive to get some of these. Now, I have that because I was struggling with dealing with certain later game jobs. I went for a lot of health and stuff, but some of these things just are not that interesting. This one allows you to reload while sprinting, sliding, and vaulting. Cool. Like, that actively does something that's useful. You know, this one increases armor by 20% when grappling enemy. It's very situational, right? Reduces full damage by 5%. Like, that's not interesting. And that's sometimes my issue with some of these upgrades. Like, this is fine. Like a butterfly, dodging does not drain stamina. So the game has it. But if we go into Street Brawler as well, right? So a lot of these are like successful attacks with blunt weapons regenerate 5 health over 2 seconds. I can't remember what the level one was. Oh, this one is increases combo damage. This is, you know, there aren't many here. Like, successful attacks with blunt weapons against enemies affected by stun. Like, some of this stuff just isn't... You read it and you're just like, why would I ever want that? And maybe in the gameplay, long term, it's actually really powerful. But some of it's just not interesting. Strong attacks with blunt weapons reduce the target's armor for 30%. Useful skill. Interesting skill. That means when I whack somebody with a strong attack, they become easier to kill, right? And I know this is like late game stuff, the stuff around the edge. I'll say late game. Later perks. But if some of the early ones just are not that interesting, and it really frustrates me when games don't do that. There are certain interesting things with this Cold Blood one. Like, if you unlock Cold Blood, you get, after defeating an enemy, gain Cold Blood for 10 seconds and increase movement speed. So you get stacks of this. So the idea is that this is like and these things add to that. Stealth, you get the ability to, like, chuck knives. But, yeah, some of it just isn't... let's go to handguns. What have we got in handguns? Reloads, reduces reload time for pistols and resolve 10%. Like, yeah, I'm sure, like, in the grand scheme of things, you could do that 30% is really, really cool. But I'd rather you move this and made this something else and put this as like a one-time, you know, flat 30% increase. Alright, you want me to make it harder. What have we even got out here? After a successful headshot with a pistol or revolver, crit chance increases by 25% for 5 seconds. That's not bad. That's not like, I don't like low, like, stuff like that, but that's, you know, you can crit pretty easily. Firing consecutive shots with a pistol or revolver at the same target increases damage. That's interesting. Yeah, and I'm just one of these people that in a single-player game, and a lot of video games are bad for this, they do give you really boring upgrades, unfortunately. So, you know, it kind of sucks. Overall, like I said, I was going to say, that's everything now. Overall, I do think the game is genuinely fun, and it's a good game. I think it's a game of almost, the melee combat is almost good, but they need to go a bit further. Some of the stuff with the upgrades and the perks and things, they're there, but they're not quite there. And it's also a product of its time. You got to bear in mind this game started development way back in the 2010s or whenever it was. And so this game definitely has like a slight datedness to it and a slight genericness to it, and it feels like it's a lot of mechanics from many other games. But that's not really the fault necessarily of the game, that is just because of the time that it was being built and being made. Now, for the most part, I think I will see this game through to the end. You know, I'm about 25 hours into it, and I am having fun with it. But I can't ignore the fact that CD Projekt Red, if they ever do another game like this, maybe just make it a bit smaller and focus on the stuff that makes this game fun. Like, you have the different types of weapons there, you have these big skill trees and things. Just focus on stuff that's actually cool, like giving the player extra things like that, like, you know, that are interesting upgrades and stuff like that. You just trim away parts of the fat in this game, and I think you've got a fantastic game. But as it stands, I think this game is solid. It's a very good game, but I can definitely see several where some of the cracks are, and obviously it still has bugs. And even if it is better now, the fact that I'm seeing those bugs a little bit more and more often as I progress kind of is slowly ruining my experience. But I think the story and some of the characters are interesting enough for me to persevere. So, there you go. There's my honest take on Cyberpunk 2077. It is a good game. I don't know, it probably wasn't when it first came out, but in its current state, I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it, and honestly, it's in a place now where I do think it's worth picking up. Maybe not at 50 quid. 50 pounds is too much. Maybe at 40, 35, I think that's reasonable for this game. But yeah, it's a good game. Go check it out. And if you're one of these people that likes to get deep and involved in a world, definitely check it out, because it's going to give you hours and hours of fun. Thank you. So that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description as always. And until next video, I will see you then.